Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build a fully AFK and fully automatic raid farm for your Minecraft worlds. These pillager raids are seriously overpowered in the loot that they drop, so this farm is honestly extremely profitable. If you're playing in this update, you need to build this farm. It is very OP. So the raids drop tons of emeralds, enchanted books, totems of undying, saddles, and lots of enchanted iron gear as well, which you can unenchant for additional experience and also burn down into iron as well. So this thing is kind of a pseudo iron farm. You'll actually get quite a bit of iron from this, which is pretty lovely. So this is also a great source of experience as well, since we are using looting 3 with this farm, which is super nice for this type of raid farm. So the rates that you'll get from this farm right here are about 1,400 emeralds per hour, which is around 2.5 stacks of emerald blocks, which is honestly quite great. The experience that you'll get from this farm is equivalent to a double spawner, so level 30 in about 15 minutes. Not the fastest, but when you AFK for hours and hours at this farm, it is certainly a lot of experience. And this farm also kills an entire raid of 7 waves in about 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So it's an extremely fast farm, and you just get so much loot from it. Honestly, again, amazing farm. You need this in your worlds. So with this farm, we are of course using looting 3, which will help get us a ton more items every single raid. So as you can see, we have 2 double chests here, 1 entire raid without looting, and 1 entire raid with looting 3. So as you can see, without looting, you still get a pretty nice amount of items. Specifically, you get about 44 emeralds per raid. Now with looting 3, you get about double the emeralds at a stack and a quarter, which is pretty amazing. So with this farm, you're going to need yourself a lot of storage, a grindstone, and also a smelting array as well, because for every single hour that you use this farm, you'll get yourself about 7 double chests of actual loot. As you can see, there's 3 double chests, 4, 5, 6, and then your 7th one, and then of course all of these hoppers are full as well. And you'll get about this many emeralds per hour of using this farm as well. So as you can see, you need a lot of storage if you plan on doing an overnight AFK session. Keep that in mind. Do not go small on your storage for this thing. So when this farm is in operation, we're going to be farming 5 different types of mobs. We're going to be farming pillagers, vindicators, evokers, witches, and ravengers as well, of course. So from your pillagers, you're going to be getting 6 different types of items, your enchanted books, and these are actually like high level enchanted books as well, really good enchanted books. You're going to be getting your special banners, enchanted iron armor, enchanted iron weapons, arrows, and if you kill them yourself with your actual sword, then you will occasionally get a crossbow too. Moving on to the Vindicators, you'll get a lot of emeralds, enchanted iron weapons and armor. The Evokers will of course drop the Totems of Undying. You will always get exactly 5 of these per raid, which is pretty amazing. And then you'll also get emeralds from these guys as well. The Witches have their standard witch drops, and then the Ravenger guys will always drop saddles, and no one needs saddles. It is the most useless drop of this entire farm. So let's quickly talk about how exactly this raid farm works. So we are of course basing this off of a pillager outpost. That way we can farm more of the bad omen effect from the pillager captains that spawn here. So they spawn in that little room, fall into a bubble column, and then we just send them up to the very top there into our kill chamber. Now at the midway point, we actually have 1 safe platform that you can stand on, and this thing will basically never get any pillagers or any raiders. You can actually like chill here and not be killed. Very nice feature of a farm to have. You can put your ender chest up here, your gear chest, whatever you want to do. But anyway, going up from here, we have to use scaffolding. This is the only block that's been found that raiders do not spawn on. Very handy. And then we have our kill chamber. So this kill chamber is basically just a trident killer, and this is going to automatically kill all of the pillagers from your actual outpost down here. That's going to automatically get you the bad omen effect, and that's also going to kill all of your raiders extremely quickly. Even the pillager beasts will die really quickly when using this. So we got the lever down there, kills all those guys. As you can see, we also get the experience from this as well, and as long as you are holding a looting sword in your hand, you will also get the looting effect. So you don't actually have to do anything at all. This thing will basically just work forever. So as you can see, we just got ourselves a pillager captain from the outpost down below. As soon as we turn on our trident killer, that guy is going to die and give us the bad omen effect. And then moving up to our top platform, this is the actual spawn platform where all of your raiders will spawn. As you can see, it's just a pretty basic platform. I'll explain the signs, all of the signs later. But as soon as these guys spawn, they will be pushed into that center 2x2 right there, fall down, lose some health from the fall, and then basically just be instantly annihilated by that trident killer. As you can see, all their items get picked up by the hoppers there, and we can pick up all the experience through the corner as well. So this thing just works very, very well. It's honestly very simple once you understand how it works. And we also have our village right here. Our village is basically one villager and one bed, and that is literally all you need. So if you're interested in all the mechanics of how exactly this farm works, I will talk about that at the end of the video because there's kind of a lot to talk about there. But otherwise, there's going to be a full materials list for this farm in the description of the video for your convenience, along with a world download of this farm as well. So hopefully you guys do enjoy. But without further ado, let's hop into the tutorial. So first things first, you need to find yourself a pillager outpost. As you can see, we just have a pretty basic one here. Pretty much any one will do. And the next thing that you need to do is find your spawn spot. This is the spot in your outpost that will always spawn pillagers, and no matter what, every single time they will always spawn right here. So the best way to do this is get yourself a layer of glass panes or iron bars at head height just across this top central area, and as soon as it is dark enough in this area for these guys to spawn, you should see one of these guys spawn right in between these 4 panes. Now if they're not spawning in your upper area, you're either too close, it is too light out, the mob cap is full, or they are spawning somewhere else in your fortress, and you'll need to do this same little tactic to find the spawn spot. I've heard that sometimes it can be outside, never seen it happen, it might happen to you. But basically, once you have your guys spawned inside of these little, glass pane areas, you need to get yourself a locator map, but the top of the map is always going to be north, so you need to find the northwest, which is going to be the top left corner. So this guy is in the northwest block, meaning that this block right here is the actual spawn spot. So let's go ahead and mark that out real quick. So go ahead and remove all your glass panes and punch a hole in the floor, and now what we need to do is add some blocks around our spawn spot. So you want to go to the east of your spawn spot and the south side as well with solid blocks, and then to the north side and also the east side you need to put glass blocks. So here is the map yet again, and basically all the guys are going to spawn right in between these 4 blocks, get pushed down, and fall down into a little water chamber that's going to push them into a bubble column as well. So you can pretty much see how to build this on a camera right now. Take your screenshots and build this in your world. And this spot right here is completely lined up with your actual spawn spot. And now what we need to do is basically just put some water in here. So we're just going to put a piece of water right there that's going to flow over those cobblestone walls. And then we need to put some more water on this side over here as well. Continue building up that wall. So we need to have this water right here actually flow to the side in order for all these guys to go into our bubble column. You also want another piece of water right there, and that should create a water column. Yeah, a bubble column. There we go. And we can just continue that up a little bit more. So yeah, the guys will spawn, they'll fall down right into your bubble column, and then they'll just get pushed right on upwards. So that is pretty good to go. So make sure you remove all light sources from this lower area and put a layer of bottom slabs on the floor as well. And the entire floor right here should be made out of solid blocks to prevent light from getting in there. So that is pretty straightforward. Now what we need to do is build up this bubble column with a kind of diamond shape of solid blocks. Just bring this all the way up until you reach the ceiling, and then we want to go ahead and punch out a single block in the ceiling right there. We're going to send all of our pillagers all the way up to the top of the farm, of course. So that is that little pillar done. And now we need to surround this little area in some solid blocks as well, just to keep the light out of this area. That needs to be very, very dark in order for the pillagers to actually spawn. So again, we're just going to basically bring this all the way up until we reach the ceiling layer. Now, one thing you do need to keep in mind is that spiders can spawn on this block and kind of like it gets stuck there. So every now and again, you might want to come down here, make sure it's not like 50 spiders taking up your mob cap. So when it comes to the rest of your outpost, it's a good idea to light it up, or in general, just spawn proof the entire thing. But what you now want to do is go ahead and mark out the very center of your actual outpost. So this thing is of course an odd number. Just mark out the center block on your roof. This will be relevant later. But now we need to bring up this bubble column by 31 blocks actually starting from this floor right here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be 8, 9, and 10. And yeah, you basically just want to bring that all the way up to 31. So this is going to be the location of our little safety platform. This is a great place to put a couple of optional chests to store your items before you go AFK, maybe an ender chest, maybe a grindstone if you're feeling fancy. And this is of course the 31st block. Anything above this would be 32, and it just kind of keeps it small and basic so that you really don't run the risk of anything spawning up here. But what we want to do from here is actually continue on our bubble column up by yet another 20 blocks upwards. So of course it just continue that up on all 4 sides, and this is actually going to end up right at our kill chamber. So as you can see, I've laid out a couple of basic blocks just for our kill chamber. I'll talk more about that later, but now we need to continue upwards by only using scaffolding. Any other method, ladders, rails, anything that you use to get up here that is not scaffolding is going to spawn pillagers, and it's going to be a bad time. They're going to kill your face, so only use scaffolding to get up here. So your scaffolding should be 1 block above your actual kill chamber, of course. And speaking of the kill chamber, we're now going to build this going all the way up to our actual spawn platform. So again, grab yourself your locator map, and you want to go to the actual northwest corner of this block of the spawn chamber, and just go ahead and put in 3 solid blocks like so. This is going to be one of our walls, and this is basically going to assure that any mobs that try and spawn right here are going to spawn in that wall and then suffocate and die, and it's not going to be of any issue. And you want to do that on the south side as well. Again, there is the map for reference. You really do need to build this stuff in this very specific manner. Otherwise, things are going to escape. If they're going to kill your face, it's not going to be a good time. Anyway, go ahead and build up the front and the back sides of this with actual glass blocks. So that is pretty straightforward. No issues with that stuff going on. And we basically need to build this entire thing upwards by 16 blocks. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And this is actually going to be the very top of our farm and our spawn platform for all of our raiders. So I went ahead and built this up to our 16th block, of course, and now what you need to do is lean over the edge, look all the way down to the bottom, and you should see that marker block that you put in the very center of your outpost. We're going to put one more marker block right there, which is still lined up at the center of your outpost. And that is going to be the very center of our actual spawn platform up here. So now what you want to do is go out by 7 blocks in every direction from that marker. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then on this side, the final side, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 blocks. And you probably guessed it, from here, you got to go ahead and connect all the corners in a diamond shape. And this should be the final look of your spawn platform. Pretty simple and straightforward. And I do want to mention again that this should be made out of solid blocks. Anything not solid blocks is going to cause issues for your farm. So make sure it is solid full blocks. And now what we need to do is remove these couple central blocks right here and the marker block, and just put down 5 signs over the central 2x2 area just to prevent the water from actually flowing down in there. So now what we need to do is grab ourselves just a ton of signs, and this is going to be the most tedious part of this entire build. We need to build up basically a whole just kind of system of signs going up around the edges just to hold our water and prevent guys from spawning on the edge and falling off going over. It's honestly a hassle, and I wish they would fix mob spawning. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is go around to this inner edge right here and just place a single layer of signs going all the way around. Once the first layer of signs is in place, we need to build up the second layer, and you want to do this just by placing signs right on top of the original ones. And I like to do this so that they're all angled perfectly because OCD is a thing. So that is the second layer of signs in place. For the third layer, you're definitely going to need a layer of scaffolding going around the edges of this, but you basically want to replicate the first layer just on the edges of your second layer, like so. And for the fourth and final layer, you basically need to replicate your second layer, but on top of your third layer. And now what we need to do is get ourselves a layer of solid blocks right up here at head height, and we just need to kind of continue this all the way around the very edges. You should have this lined up with the actual outside edge of your diamond platform. And there we go, there are our temporary blocks in place, and now what you need to do is get yourself an infinite water source up here and go ahead and fill in one water source in all of these locations. Okay, so that is now done. Now just go ahead and remove all of your temporary blocks. Be super careful not to break any of your signs, and the spawn platform is good to go. One final thing about this platform is if you are building in a cold biome, you need to make sure that you put some light sources in here. That way your water does not freeze. Just in here on this very inner lip should be perfectly fine. Heading back down to our bubble column, you basically just want to expand this going all the way up to the very bottom of your spawn platform up there on all three sides, of course. And then from there, we're just going to kind of plug this going right into our kill chamber. So pop out these 2 blocks. And that's basically just going to drop all of your pillagers and pillager captains right into your spawn chamber. Let's go ahead and replace those 2 blocks real quick. Put a sign right there and then a temporary block right there as well. And before we do anything else, we need to go ahead and make sure that there are a few more solid blocks in this area. Just like so. Of course, that is going to be on the northwest corner. The reason being, sometimes guys will spawn right here, and when they do, you need to make sure that they spawn inside those blocks and then suffocate and die. And actually, you want to make sure that there's a couple blocks going down underneath that as well, so that they have something to stand on. And now just go ahead and put those 2 glass blocks back, remove that block. Actually, don't remove that block, put in your water source, and then remove that block. That'll flow all the way down, become a bubble column, and maybe even bring up some pillagers as well. And now it is time for your kill chamber, which is a pretty straightforward ordeal. So you basically want to have 2 hoppers on the right side right here. Make sure at least one of those is facing downwards. Then punch out those 2 blocks, get some sticky pistons in there with carpets on their faces, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. You're going to want to branch out from your scaffolding right here and go ahead and remove those 2 blocks. Now we need a redstone torch on the side of that block, and that should activate the front sticky piston. And now get yourself an observer facing downwards right underneath this solid block, and that should power both of your pistons. And now you want an observer facing upwards on the front of that observer and a sticky piston facing upwards right there. Lever on the side of that, activate that a couple times, and you are good to go. Trying to make this as basic of a circuit as I can, that way nothing spawns on it. But something I do want to mention is that this always needs to be on as long as there is a raid active. If this thing is off and there's a raid going on, guys can spawn on that face and then fall out of here and then like possibly kill you or break your farm, so beware of that. This always has to be on if there's a raid happening. Anyway, moving on from that, we now need to go in here and throw a couple of tridents on all of our carpets real quick. Just a few will do fine. I'm sure you have plenty of them. And then activate that thing a little bit. They'll kind of all settle and be perfectly fine. So something that you need to keep in mind is that every individual player that wants to use this farm will have to come in here, pick up these tridents, and then throw them back down. So if player 1 throws these tridents in here, they will always get the bad omen effect from this trident killer. Player 2 will never be able to get the bad omen effect from this farm. Player 2 has to come in here, pick up these tridents, and throw them back down in order to get the bad omen effect. So keep that in mind. You have to switch out the tridents every time a different player uses this farm. So the final thing that you need to do for your kill chamber is go ahead and remove these 3 blocks right here, remove that solid block as well, and then get a little bit more scaffolding here around the edges just so that you don't fall off of this stupid thing, and place 1 torch right there. So this is going to be your actual AFK spot. You'll be able to pick up all of the experience through the corner, even while you're holding your looting sword and everything. But the thing is, you don't want to be standing all the way in this corner, because if you are standing all the way in the corner, the guys will be able to hit you and kill you basically instantly. So you want to back up a little bit, kind of back past this torch. You don't want to be standing right above it, just kind of back it towards this corner, and you'll still be able to pick up all of the experience just fine. And now we're going to install our village. So go to the top of this little corner right here, and you basically want to build a floor and make sure that floor has a 3-block gap above it. Before you actually hit the bottom of your spawn platform, place a bed on that floor, and then just go ahead and surround this with walls and all of these locations right here, and go ahead and fill in that area above it as well. So now you need to get a village up here, but remember, you can get that villager up here using that bubble column just with a little bit of work, and make sure that this villager actually links to that bed. If it doesn't link to that bed, if it doesn't get green particles, then none of this is going to work. You have to make sure that these two guys are going to be linked. So the next thing that you need to do is wait until it is nighttime, and this guy needs to sleep in that bed. So that should happen. That looked kind of frightening. And now just go ahead and completely block that guy in, remove the blocks underneath the bed, very important, and then just go ahead and fill in the rest of that with glass. And now the next time that it is daytime, he should take a little while to wake up, but once he does, he will be permanently stuck right there in that glass, and nothing will ever be able to spawn in there and or kill him, which is perfect. So this farm is totally good to go now. We got a pillager captain from the outpost below. We can go ahead and turn that on, and we will get the bad omen effect, and the raid will start spawning. So I'm just gonna go ahead and time lapse this, but we should see that all 7 waves end up in this lower chamber right here, and that's gonna be pretty much it. So that raid was, of course, killed in 3.5 minutes, and we got about 15 levels from that as well. As you can see, we also got all the loot, which is normal, which is pretty cool. And something that you might need to do is instead have 4 hoppers in the ground. 2 hoppers was working fine, and then it broke. So yeah, just build it with 4. Make sure the one in the corner is facing downwards with another one beneath it. And your main storage should be down there on the ground. You do not want to place a single other block up here in this area. Pretty much everything needs to be built exactly. As you may have seen in that little time lapse, the first 2 waves actually spawned in the kill chamber. Some of the guys died in the wall. So yeah, you really do have to build all this stuff exactly, except the scaffolding. Scaffolding can be pretty much however you want, because nothing spawns on this, of course. But yeah, don't place a single other thing up here. Everything else should be down on the ground. So just make like a hopper line going down. Something else you'll want to do is light up caves in the area, because outpost spawns are actually cave spawns. So if you have a bunch of stuff in your caves, nothing is going to spawn in your outpost. I quickly want to talk about a couple of the mechanics of how exactly this raid farm works, and how exactly the raids are kind of broken, and they force you into building the most simplistic farm that you absolutely can. So first of all, the raids will spawn on pretty much any block in the entire game. So first of all, they'll spawn on walls and fences, gates, stairs, iron bars and glass panes, trapdoors of any orientation, ladders, actual glass. You got your carpets, lower slabs, floating repeaters and comparators, and then also bedrock. So you cannot build a farm out of any of those things or have any of these things in the area. Otherwise, your raiders will spawn on it, they'll kill you, they'll break the farm, they won't go into the kill chamber. It's a whole big mess, and it took a long time to refine this farm down to the absolute bare minimum, where nothing will ever spawn where it's not supposed to. They will always spawn up there. It was quite tedious. So the only 2 things that have been found that they do not spawn on, that the player can actually stand on, would be scaffolding, which is pretty nice, and then boats, which is also kind of nice, but boats requires water and water streams and stuff like that. So not really the most ideal solution to this problem. So there are 2 more things that go into making this a functional farm. First of all, we need to have our village be about 100 blocks in the air. That way all of our raiders actually spawn up here on this platform and not on the ground around the farm, as you can see. So that makes for a very simple and very straightforward farm. And then second of all, you need to be within about 15 blocks of your village vertically to actually trigger a raid when you get the bad omen effect. That is why we have our killing chamber up here and not about 10 blocks lower, which is what I would normally do. One more thing that you need to keep in mind when building a raid farm is that they don't just spawn in the center of a block. When they select a block to spawn on, they spawn on the northwest corner in between 4 different blocks, which causes all kinds of headaches, especially combined with those issues. So with the spawn platform up here, we basically surround all of the edges with a layer of signs, because they don't actually spawn on signs. So if anything were to spawn on the northwest corner of this block, it would be stuck in 2 water streams and be pushed towards the center immediately. So as convoluted and possibly tedious to build as this design is, it does work very well. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please do leave a like on the video. Certainly does help out the video and the channel, especially with these much longer tutorials that I try not to make because they're just too long. But if you're new here and you want to see more tutorials like this in the future, especially for the Village and Pillage update, then make sure to subscribe. I got a lot more tutorials on the way, of course. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, then of course let me know in the comment section down below. Always trying to help you guys out as best as I possibly can. But hopefully you guys do enjoy this farm in your world and enjoy this tutorial as well. I will see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one, and then there was silence.